Yeah, family, welcome back. This is your old school traveler. I'm back. I've been gone for a while. I went to Panama for a whole month. Now, I got a lot to tell you about Panama. This is not about the city. That's going to come up next. But this is about the country itself. I'm here to tell you some things that people go to Panama and people have visions of Panama, and some of them are right and some of them are wrong. But overall, though, I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and what I like and what I didn't like about the country itself. And now, Panama is a very, very pretty place. Panama is very, very green. What I mean by that, they got so many trees everywhere. Oh, good God, it's just pretty. They got, Panama might have, matter of fact, I read this somewhere, that Panama has more trees than the United States as a whole, which is hard to believe considering the size of Panama versus the size of the United States. But I'm here to tell you the good and the bad, what I saw, what I didn't see. And in the video, I'm going to show you all parts of Panama, places that are just so pretty, you just can't believe it's that pretty. And yet they got places that are not as pretty as what I'm going to show you, but I'm going to show you the places that are not as pretty as well. Now, let's get to Panama. I'm going in no particular order, whether it's bad, good, or indifference. But I'm going to tell you some facts about Panama. Panama is a small country about the size of South Carolina, and it's got about 4.5 million people. Now, if you go to Panama City, that's not all of Panama. Now, half the country lives in Panama City Metro, so half the country lives in the Panama City area. But what you see in Panama City isn't what you're going to see in the whole country. That's what I'm here to tell you. Because, see, Panama's largest city is Panama City, and Panama's second largest city is Colón. And now you also got a third city called David. It's spelled D-A-V-I-D, but it's pronounced David. But it seems like the government puts a lot of money into Panama City. It's pretty modern for the most part. Now, I'm going to be upfront with you. The infrastructure is all right. It ain't perfect, but what city do have a perfect infrastructure? So the infrastructure is not perfect, but the government don't put anything into Colón. They don't put nothing. They don't invest nothing. When you look at it being the second city and what they invest in that second city is almost zero. Now, I'm going to tell you why and what I think. And now I could be wrong. I'm going to tell you what I think. And see, I went all over the country. And I went on what they call a PRT, a Panama Relocation Tour. And I was part of Group 317. But I stayed there a week before and 2 weeks after the tour ended. So I got a pretty good idea of places I would live and not live in Panama. But what I want to tell you is that Colón is ignored. And I'm going to tell you why I think. Now, you got a lot of countries where they have what we call a caste system. And the caste system is the lighter your skin, the higher you go up in the food chain. Yeah, they have a lot of that in Panama. People don't say it, but I'm going to tell you it is what it is. Because the light-skinned folks seem like all the managers and everybody in the hierarchy in the upper echelon of economically were all lighter skinned. It seemed like the darker skinned people were more of your hotel workers, cleaning hotels. Yeah, they got a caste system. You can call it what you want to call it. And Colón, because Colón is Afro-Caribbean primarily, they got darker skin. They get ignored quite a bit. Now, in Colón, you do have the darker skin in the higher echelons of government in Colón. And Panama City, it ain't quite that way. And when you look at the members of the political establishment that runs the country, they're all light-skinned. That says a lot. And the ones that were not are from Colón. So, saying that, getting it all out of the way, I didn't see anything to make me think that anybody in Panama were prejudiced. Now, you also got the indigenous folks living in the parks and living in the I guess the other parts of the country that the indigenous folks runs those areas. And Panama politicians, they put a couple bones out there to give them a couple dollars. But for the most part, Panama, the country itself, puts a lot of money into Panama City. And that because that's the shipping capital. Well, it's the capital for everything. Financial, shipping. But at no point did I ever feel like I was targeted because of my skin color or because of my wife's skin color. At no point did I ever feel that way. And so, it's Panama itself is a very, very, very safe country. And we did a lot of touring. But also we talked to a lot of indigenous folks, Afro-Caribbeans, and ones who were lighter skinned, like the Taino, and the ones that mixed with Spanish blood. We talked a lot to them, and they all had the same, opinion, which is good, when the whole country accepts that it is what it is. Now, I'm going to tell you about Panama. People from around the Central Caribbean area, and people from around Central America, and people from South America, they go there because Panama has one thing beyond anybody else: shopping. They have shopping plazas and shopping malls everywhere. I mean, everywhere. You cannot blink your eye without seeing that everywhere. Now, saying that, Panama medical system is just as good as anything you're going to find in the world. I mean, it is what it is. The medical system is cheap. And when you look at their medical system versus the United States or Canada or other countries, you don't go broke if you're sick. That's an American thing. That's an American thing. You go broke as hell if you get sick. You paying to live in America. In Panama, you pay and you're going to live whether you pay or not. But the country itself has a very, very unique and I'm not going to say unique, but they have a very well taken care of medical system. So the medical system is very, very good, and it's very, very cheap. And when I say very, very cheap, what would cost you $1,000 in America? Matter of fact, what would cost you $5,000 in America would cost you maybe $500 in Panama. It is what it is. They take care of their folks, but the country itself is just so pretty. Now, I told you earlier about the infrastructure of Panama as a whole. The infrastructure in Panama City is not bad, but you go to some of these outlying cities, shit, good luck. Because the sidewalks are cracked up, the infrastructure for the sewage and for the water, and you're going to lose power every day. Get over that. You're going to lose power. Not every day, but a lot. And, the problem that a lot of people have when they go to Panama, if you come from the United States or Europe or some of these other places, you got to have patience. Panamanians work and walk and talk at their own pace. That's one thing I did like about it. It slows down life for you. It makes you healthier, maybe not happier, but it makes you see things in a different light. If you go there thinking that they're going to go at 100 miles an hour at your pace because you're from Europe or United States or Canada, get over it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So saying that, I enjoyed every single day in Panama. And now let me get one thing straight. Everybody in Panama has a side hustle. Everybody got a side hustle. And that's fine because I don't mind that because I've done that my whole life. I've always had, 1, 2, 3, never one, really 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs at one time, but all legal and above ground. Panamanians are the same way. Now, people are going to tell you that Panamanians are happy people. They're very nice. And that's true. But let me get one thing straight. They will rip you off too. And they don't do it in a criminal element where it's physical. They do it in a mental element. Because let me give you an example. You get in a cab taxi, and they are everywhere in Panama. Taxis are everywhere. You see taxis. Panama actually got like 70,000 taxi cab drivers and a population of 4 million. New York City got a population of 10 million almost when you count some of the suburbs, not all of them, because it's 20 million when you add everybody together. But you take 10 million and they got 10,000 taxis. That tells you a lot about how many taxis there are. I don't care where you go. Now, what I was getting to, taxis themselves, to go from point A to point B, a taxi may charge a Panamanian $3. $3. Cheap as shit. Taxis are cheap. But if you're a foreigner, they may charge you $9, which you think is a good deal based on where you're from. And the $9 don't look bad. But when you talk to a Panamanian or you speak Spanish and you find out it's only $3, you're like, what the hell? Now, that's that foreign fee they're going to charge you. The minute you open your mouth and they know that you are, even if you speak Spanish, I had no problem speaking Spanish, but I didn't speak Panamanian Spanish. So they caught onto the accent on a couple words. But my point is, they're going to charge you a foreign fee. Get over that. Now, the one way to get around Panama, now remember when I said the taxis is going to charge you $3 to go from point A to point B. But you get an Uber, it's $1.25. That's just how cheap it is to get around Panama. Now, why you would need a car, I have no idea, because I would never have a car in Panama. That's just not me. I don't see a reason for it. But my whole point is, it's so cheap to get public transportation to go from the same point A to point B is $0.25. Same one. But the Uber is, they're all cheap by our standards. They're all cheap by what we do and how we live in the northern part of the Americas. They're all cheap, but still, you don't want to get ripped off. I'm not telling you that $9 is a ripoff. No. You got conned. But if you're not Panamanian, that's what you're gonna pay. But if you take Uber, you're paying $1.25. And if you trust the bus system that you may not know, you may know it, you may not know it. I didn't know it very well enough. And the bus system, the buses are always crowded. Public buses, city buses are always crowded, which is cool, because that means that the people who live there can get around cheap, free, whatever. And here's the other ripoff. If you go into a restaurant, they got a lot of great restaurants in Panama City. They got a lot of great restaurants. If the menu's in English, you're paying a lot more than if you go to a Panamanian restaurant where the menu is in Spanish and you just use Google Translate. And when I say a lot, I was getting steaks for like $9, $10. But you got a lot of expats. You got a shitload of expats in Panama. And they're going to try and charge you prices you're going to pay in the States today. And I was not going for that. They're going to charge you a lot. If I want to pay $40 for a ribeye, I might as well just be in Houston, Texas, and pay the same amount of money and save the money that I would pay on a trip going to Panama. Yeah, expats go down there, and as usual, they screw things up. They screw things up. Because when I went to Panamanian restaurants, owned by Panamanians, at no point did I ever get asked, do you want a tip? But when I went to places that expats went to, that was always one of the questions. And then you go down there and these people are making $2, $3 an hour, and the food yet is expensive, and you giving them 20%, but it's expat run or it's a chain restaurant. Panama got every chain restaurant in the world. They're just like Panama City, Florida. If you got a chain, they got it. I don't care. They even had chains of restaurants that I really thought that no longer existed. No, they had them all. They had them all. But at the same time, and the prices when you go to where the expats go, McDonald's charge you a little more, like $75 a dollar more for the same value meal. That when you go to where the Panamanians go, it was $1 cheaper. I mean, you know, you get a Big Mac value meal for like $5. But if you go to the Multi-Plaza Mall where I went to, it was like $6 for the same thing. And the good thing about it, because the people are nice, they spent their entire time, they wanted to learn English, and I was speaking Spanish, so we used Google Translate. If there's a word they didn't understand, we used Google Translate, and we just talked. But now let's get back to where I was telling you about the Panamanians. You know, you got the lighter skin runs the country, you know, and you got the Afro-Caribbeans in Cologne, but then you got the indigenous ones who are out in the mountains or out in the outlying areas. They were all nice, all cool. And the thing I like about it the most was that the Panamanians have a soft place in their heart for the indigenous people who are in Panama, I guess before the Spaniards came and conquered, took over, stole, whatever you want to call it. I guess you know they have a soft place in their heart for all that kind of stuff. But I had a good time, and you know, when I ate with the indigenous, you know, I gave them nice tips, not to a point where it was extravagant, but if it was a meal cost $7, I rounded up to $10. You know, even though it's a huge increase, but when they pay taxes and all the other stuff, they had a decent amount of money to so you know what, he gave us a nice tip. But we found places in Panama itself, it was just so cheap to eat. And you know, you're doing yourself wrong if you're gonna eat at the fast food joints. Now, I mentioned McDonald's earlier. I only ate there twice, only because I wanted an early breakfast, and they open early. A lot of the Panamanian places open at 8 and 9 o'clock because I'm gonna tell you, in Panama, they do everything based on Panamanian time, which is not going by a clock. If you think you're gonna go by a clock, you're in trouble because you get your hopes up, it ain't gonna happen. So I was kind of lucky that I did not go by a clock. I went by Panamanian time. If I didn't see employees inside, I didn't go inside. I didn't knock. But if I saw employees inside, then I went and said, okay, are you open? And they got a place called Nico's that's 24 hours a day that I really enjoyed. Now, the food isn't the greatest, but it's the cheapest. Even you want to say cheap, I'm talking $2 and $3 a meal, $4 for a breakfast. And you get a breakfast, you get an omelet, you get an omelet, you getting pancakes or waffles, you getting some meat with it, you getting orange juice with it, you getting all this stuff $4 a meal. And the Panamanians were even saying, oh, that place is super, super, super cheap. You know. But yeah, some Panamanians saying, oh, you got ripped off because I can go to another place and I can pay half that for the same thing. Which is like, holy shit, how free can food be? It is what it is. But, you know, saying all that, Panama itself, if you're in the major cities, like Debide, I'm not even going to say Cologne, you are going to have an infrastructure that you just can't deal with if you're from North America. And if you want to deal with it, don't have your North American attitude. Have a Panamanian attitude. Because the people there, they just accept it is what it's going to be. It is the way it is. And when you go there thinking that you want North American, even in North America, everything don't work all the time. You know, go to Panama and adjust your lifestyle to Panamanian lifestyle. Because you're not going down there to recreate the earth. It already exists. It's just that they live in a different part of the earth than you do. And I thought the people were great, courageous. I thought they were nice. I thought they had their side hustles, and I thought they were doing a good job. And like I said, at no point, and I went out during the day, during the night, all times of the day, and at no point did I feel threatened or did I feel that my physical security was threatened. No, I had a great time, and And the people were always generous, always nice to me, no matter where I went, what I did. That's just their nature. Now, you're not going to find any perfect country. So why would you go to Panama and think you're going to find a perfect country? They don't exist. But Panama got ways to citizenship. You know, the pensionado visa is what everybody's trying to get to. And you know, Panama got a lot of ways of doing a lot of different things. And the people there will help you, just not at your pace. They're not going to be at your pace. Get over that. They're not going to go 100 miles an hour. Not for you, not for anybody. It's just their way of doing business. And I didn't have a problem at all. And you know, even when I stayed at the courtyard at Multi Plaza. Even when I stayed there, you know, I had a great time there. No issues, no problems. And, you know, people say, oh, you stay in the courtyard. But they got so many high rises. If you don't like high rises, don't go to Panama. If you want one of the world's prettiest skylines with skyscrapers, go to Panama. Panama skyscrapers remind me 100% of Miami. It is just like Miami. But they got areas that you would live in. They got areas you would not live in. And I found more that, you know, like I like El Congrejo. I like San Francisco. You know, I like Bella Vista. There are places I like. I like them not because they're high scale or whatever, or they're upper class. You know, I like them because they have places you can walk to do everything you want to do. You don't have to get in a taxi or Uber or whatever. You can just walk. You can just walk to those places and do all your shopping, all your, you know, whatever you want to do is all right there. And I like places like that because I'm a city boy who don't want to be too far in the suburbs. Now, people are going to tell you about Buquete, about David, about Anton. People are going to tell you about the places that they like. But I'm going to break it down to you in future videos and tell you why they like those places and why I do not like those places. I'm going to break it down to you so you can say, you know what? This is the reason why he don't like them. But here's the reason why. And they are my valid complaints, not somebody else's. So when you go to Panama, it's not just Panama City. And it's easy to get that mixed up. Oh, and by the way, they got beaches galore. If you want the beaches, Panama got them for you. But it's not as beachy. I use the word beachy. It's not as beachy as Florida or California. It's not quite that way. No. They got beaches, but it's not quite that way. But they got their spots where they got some of the nicest beaches you're going to see. And by the way, in Panama, for those who don't know, they are now building a brand new worldwide that I personally hate it, but some people don't like it. They are now building a Margaritaville in Panama. It's on an island all by itself. And I know some of you can be thrilled by it. I was not. Because you bring Margaritaville, you're bringing in rednecks. And when you go to Panama, speaking of rednecks, leave your politics in the United States. Leave your politics in the United States. You go into a different country to experience different things. If you want to do the same thing you do at home, just stay your ass at the villages in Florida and just be a redneck. Stay at the villages in Florida and just be a redneck. But if you go to different countries, leave your political views, your religious views, your sexual views, leave that stuff back here in the States. There's no need for you to export that. Because the Panamanians are easygoing people. Don't export anything negative to another host country. If you want and you think the U.S. is the best in the world at everything in the world, whether it's political, religious, or sexual, if you think we are the best in the world, stay here. You're not going to get that acceptance in other countries. And a lot of people just don't want to deal with it. Okay, so that's Panama. And now in the future videos, I'm going to break down each city I went to, and I stayed there at least 4 or 5 nights. And I talked to locals there, and we're going to get it right. Peace out, the old school traveler. Peace.